an adjunct with East Carolina University in the US, and it's my pleasure to be chairing this session. And this session is titled, in a way that is close to my heart, People, Culture, and Change. Because in construction, nothing happens without people. Okay, you need people. You have to have the right culture to work together well. You have to be willing to change, because if there's no change, then the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. So to me, this game sums it up very well. We have 4 presentations today, both standing presentations. And what I'd like to do is to have the speakers go ahead and just give their names when they start. I'm going to ask you to hold your questions until after their presentation. Each presentation should be about 15 minutes. So hold it, and after all 4 people are presented, then we'll have a question and answer session after that. Okay, before we get started, any concerns, questions, anyone? Okay, well, our first presenter is, are you Adelaide and Gaby?
Yeah.
I hope I didn't pronounce it incorrectly.
That's good.
And which institution are you with?
Norwegian University of Science and Technology.
I see. Okay, and this topic is paper number 314, Governing the Flow of Materials, the Case of Flat Roof. So you go ahead.
Yes.
Floor. And of course, we'll give you a reminder when you have 5 minutes to go, we'll flash a sign, and then 2 minutes, and hopefully you'll be finished right after that.
Yeah.
We have a stop sign. So.
Thank you. My name is Atle Engebø. I'm a PhD student from the Norwegian University of Science and Technology, and I'm here to present the paper Governing Flat Roof Constructions, a Case Study. It's written by myself, Erlend Andenes, Tore Kvande, and Jardar Lone, all from the same university. So, a little bit about the background. Yes. In Nordic climates, constructing flat roofs are more vulnerable to roofing defects than traditional pitched roofs, and largely avoided on small buildings if sloped ventilated roofs can be built instead. In Norway, flat roof constructions are mostly limited to large commercial or public buildings. However, flat roofs see use in small houses in functionalist style. The prevalence of single-dwelling houses in Norway sustains a large industry of local construction companies specializing in building them. The above picture shows the science building at the Norwegian University of Science and Technology, a building that's received much appraisement when opened in 2000. The second picture shows the same building in 2017 being rehabilitated for approximately $8.3 million. A large part of the rehab is rework on the building's flat roof. The rehab takes time and negatively affects the users of the buildings, as well as putting unnecessary strains on the maintenance budget of the owner. So, the picture shows a roof with what seems to be an inadequate draining solution for rainwater. The topic of errors and need for rehab on flat roofs was featured in a Norwegian trade journal. On this basis, an interdisciplinary research project between researchers specializing in building physics and project management was initiated. Nordic climate is rough. Rain, wind, snow, especially in the coastal areas, provide a demanding setting for construction. The roof is usually the most exposed facade of the building, and thus constructing flat roofs may be more vulnerable to roofing defects than traditional pitched roofs. A recent study showed that roof defects made up of 22% of all defects in buildings investigated by the SINTEF Building and Infrastructure, a research organization from Norway. A delivery process aimed at creating value for a customer may be pulverized on a micro level by unsatisfactory procurement services, sloppy handling, and substandard materials. So, the purpose. A lean construction process depends on a reliable procuring and proper workmanship. The research presented is based on our assumption that current practice during construction may lead to an increased risk of using subpar materials or sloppy craftsmanship. Governing these challenges is not a trivial task and a cornerstone of a viable lean construction process. The premise of this study was to explore what the main threats to the value of the client in the case of flat roof constructions are. Furthermore, to explore how the clients govern in order to oversee that the requirements regarding construction materials and assembling are met. The methodology. The overall research project addresses the intersection between project management and building physics. A qualitative study approach with the use of interviews as the main source of data was chosen. The data collection took place between November 2017 and February 2018. Actors from different parts of the supply chain was interviewed, focusing on the client perspective. These consisted of representatives from clients, suppliers, as well as one representative from a major insurance company and one representative from the Norwegian Directorate for Building Quality. The study is limited to the case of flat roof constructions. The context of the study was seemingly growing concern in industry-specific newsprints regarding errors related to flat roofs. One specific article written by a supplier aimed at the clients caught our attention. We therefore emphasize on the client with the purpose of increasing our insight into how clients consider such particular and critical part of a project. So what are the main threats to flat roof construction? First of all, it's inadequate perforations. It was perceived to be the most troublesome and vulnerable area. It was stressed by several of the interviewees that perforation and connections between structures was the most troublesome part of a roof. The second was inadequate craftsmanship. Few problems related to the roofing materials itself was reported, but some interviews note that extreme climatic conditions might cause failure with roofing solutions that have been proven trustworthy elsewhere. The third one is substandard materials. For instance, the choice of fastening system is crucial in areas with excessive wind loads, and extra layers of membranes is crucial in areas where you have such as in corner or in traffic zones. The fourth one is insufficient climatic adaptation. Failure to recognize and compensate for climatic conditions, failure to recognize and compensate for use conditions may lead to premature defects on otherwise well-built roofs. The fifth one was user failure. The lack of communication between the client, the user, and the contractor. Several of the interviews mentioned user failure as a potential threat to roof integrity, such as insufficient snow removal or lack of replacement of aging membranes. So implication for clients. First of all, flat roof constructions are typically carried out by specialist contractors. However, clients interviewed seem to be reluctant in their involvement with specialist contractors. Often, clients have little knowledge or influence over subcontractors used in the project. When the client chooses a delivery method, they tend to choose the method that shift and minimize the risk and the number of contractual relationship. Thus, to a large part, avoiding concerns with subcontractors and the materials chosen. The second one is the industry favors conventional safeguarding approach. It's in borderline with the first one, focusing on shifting the risk through using traditional project delivery methods such as design-build or design-bid-build. Also, the interviews emphasized the importance of having a favorable construction insurance, which is also a traditional safeguarding approach, in order to mitigate the unwanted risk of unserious actors and dubious workmanship. Several problems might occur using such delivery methods. This could result in an insufficient control over material choices. Moreover, such aspects of building projects are critical for the lasting value of the building. By creating a setting where every actor is focusing on shifting the risk, disputes will eventually involve a multi-party of actors in the supply chain. And involving a multi-party of actors will result in unnecessary cost within the supply chain and disputes at handover or after handover or before handover. If not properly followed up, fraudulent behavior may occur. That's the last one. No, it's not the last one. It's the third one. Fraudulent behavior might be the use of materials not fit for rough climates, the use of materials with unknown properties. In extreme cases, fraudulent behavior is experienced. Such behavior can be that the contractor, the specialist contractor, provides certificates for a product A, but uses a product B in the assembling. The fourth one is hiring subcontractors on lowest price criteria. This may result in sloppy craftsmanship and the use of subpar construction materials. and the result is thus subpar flat roof. The last point is that Norwegian clients seem to trust their chosen contractor. High levels of trust is necessary in a collaborative form of project delivery. Thus, trust is important and should be viewed as a valuable trait in the construction process. However, some clients claims that this trust is being translated into claims at handover or after handover. So, summary of the findings. The investigation highlights the following threats: inadequate perforations, inadequate craftsmanship, inadequate materials, products with unknown. Inadequate materials, inadequate climatic adaptation, and the last one is user failure. The investigation highlights that clients prefer conventional safeguarding. There are undoubtedly problems related to flat roofs, problems that affect the value for the client. Furthermore, due to their complexity, flat roofs should be viewed as a critical part of the project delivery. Thus, when asked about governance during construction, clients seem to focus on shifting the risk, and thus when being asked about how they govern during construction, they tend to emphasize that the responsibility is with the contractor. The procurement is strictly transactional based, with the lowest price criteria as a key evaluation criteria. Often, clients have little knowledge or influence over subcontractors used in the project. When the client chooses a delivery method, they tend to choose the method that shifts the risk. This could result in insufficient control over material choices or the assembling of flat roof constructions. Moreover, such aspects of building projects are critical for the lasting value for the building or the client. Conclusion. A delivery process that aimed at creating value for the customer may be pulverized on a micro level by unsatisfactory procurement services, sloppy handling, and fraudulent or substandard building materials. Short-term perspective, the divergence of stakeholders' interest and premature roof failure present a great threat to the value creation. And poor procuring and handling threatens the construction process. The main threats to the value for the client in the case of flat roof constructions are design flaws and construction errors, and that are more common than material faults itself. Perforation and transitions of the roofing material stand out as the most risky element of a roof. And as stated previously, the client governed through the use of conventional safeguarding approaches. In the context of such complicated constructions as flat roofs, both the client and the responsible contractor need to be aware of the possible risk described above. There seems to be an outlook that emerging forms of project delivery, such as integrated project delivery, that emphasize on lean principles, such as focus on people, relations, and integration, may prove to be more effective than traditional project delivery approaches. Practical implication. In a lean perspective, the message is rather clear. Buildings are increasingly complex. Flat roofs are increasingly complex, especially considering rough climate and the increase in perforations due to ventilation, among other things, through the roofs. Premature roof failure present a great threat to the value and should be viewed as a critical part of the project delivery. Client could benefit from implementing lean governance and principles, emphasizing on social mechanism and promote valued relationship in the project. A solution is previously described by Alves in 2013 and Pesquire in 2015, is to change the focus from just shifting the risk from another to instead focusing on the root cause of the problem. Thus, for example, focusing on soft elements, such as improving communication and transparency, and helping subcontractors improve their practice. Sorry for that. That was the last slide. And hopefully in the future, we will provide buildings that present a lasting value for the owner and without critical errors for earlier than planned rehab. Future research. Several of the interviews suspect that conditions were less tidy in the part of the industry focusing on smaller scale projects. Therefore, future research should be directed toward specialist contractors and for example, the housing industry, especially focusing on the supply chain management and the relation between subcontractors and main contractors and clients. Thank you for listening.